Welcome to Voice of Influence, the podcast where we dive deep into the art of impactful communication, the power of leadership, and the journey of personal growth. Every week, we'll explore the tools, techniques, and stories that can help you become a more effective speaker, insightful leader, and a more influential individual in both your professional and personal life. Join as we meet with individuals and experts and share strategies that can elevate your ability to communicate and lead. Your voice has the power to influence. Let's discover how to make it resonate. So today is our first ever pilot edition of this podcast. My name is Kian. I am playing the host today, and our other guest is Fei Chen. Just to give a short intro, we both got to know each other in Shanghai through Toastmasters, the organization that focuses on the development of public speaking, communication, and leadership. And these are the topics that we are both very passionate and interested about. That's why we are developing this platform to talk more about these topics. So, Fei, can you give a short introduction about yourself?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Fei. I'm currently in New Zealand, Christchurch, and just exploring new life here. And before I came here, I was a teacher teaching in international school. And I think now I'm actually full-time Toastmasters, a part-time as a early childhood teacher in training. I really enjoy Toastmaster because it gave me a lot of opportunity to try a lot of things, which is something that I never get to at in the school settings. So that's why I was still here, keep on trying new things.
Wow, that is interesting. So you just mentioned Toastmasters, right? So we did mention Toastmasters at the beginning of the podcast. So can you briefly explain what is Toastmasters? How did you get to know about Toastmasters and why did you join?
At very beginning doesn't really make sense to me, and it's Chinese translation Toma doesn't really sound to me as a public speaking organization at all. I got to know this is because 2 year back in 2021, I just got my new job in my international school, and then as part of the new teacher 5-year plan, they held a competition, which is asking all the new teachers to go on stage and give impromptu speech. Back then, I didn't know anything about impromptu speech or like speaking in front of public on a stage. So I was really,
Mm-hmm.
really struggled until I got a phone call from my best friend. And she was in Fuzhou back then. And then she told me that she joined a really interesting organization called Toastmasters. And this is where she practiced impromptu speech and also longer speech. I was like, oh, that's something I need. Do I have it like near my school? So I searched it and I found there is actually a lot of them are near my school in Xujiahui area in Shanghai. And I just found one which is most fit my schedule and I went to visit. And the first time I visit, I was really shy. That was the time Toastmasters was really in struggle because they just recovered from pandemic. So the first time I visited there, they only go 5 people in the meeting. And then they told me to
Wow.
instantly become a grammarian on the spot. And I was like, I don't know what's grammarian. What do I need to do? So they briefly explained to me I need to do pick out the good words and sentences, and that's all you need to do. I was like, okay, I'm on the stage, become a grammarian. So that was my very first Toastmasters experience.
You just mentioned something really interesting because you said that you went to Toastmasters because you felt like you needed to improve on a certain thing. I can share the same thing as well because the reason how I got to know about Toastmasters is because I did a workshop sharing many years ago and I just felt like I did a horrible job and I started thinking that I needed to improve on my public speaking skills. And somehow my mom introduced Toastmasters to me. And it's that inner drive to improve in that area that pushed me to Toastmasters. So I think we both know a lot of people that come to Toastmasters because of their need to improve
Mm,
in a certain area. And these areas they are usually around public speaking, communication, or leadership.
mm,
But most people actually do come mainly for public speaking.
mm.
They want to be more confident on stage. So coming into Toastmasters is one thing. We took a few roles and eventually we become members. So why did you decide to stay?
I think one of the things, since you just shared your experience of joining Toastmasters, one of the keywords just popped into my mind, which is active learning. Because
Mm.
when we grew up, like in Asian culture, when we think about how we learn, most of the time it's just sitting in school and passive absorb whatever teacher taught us. And then we memorize it. That's how we do well on the test. But for adult learning, it's not really like that. I found it's interesting because a lot of people pay money to sitting in the workshop and then sitting in the lecture. Do they really learn that much? I have a question mark. I think maybe on spot you absorbed, let's say 50 to 60% of the content, but do you really apply in your real work setting or family setting? Not really. But in Toastmaster, what kind of kept me going and even doing further challenging myself on the leadership is you actually learn from doing and you lead by exampling. That's keep me going back to Toastmasters again and again because I feel like whenever I want to learn something, I had this inner drive, motivation first. Then I come to Toastmasters, practice, and got feedback from everyone. And then I go reflect, see if this really my thing, or should I continue this, or should I give up? Because I actually got feedback from the actual practice. Then I can improve myself and keep on trying new things.
So I think you just brought up some really good points there, like active learning and also uh, learning by doing and improving through evaluation. So one thing we always say in Toastmasters is we're not just a place where people come on stage and speak.
Mm.
We have objectives that we need to achieve, and then we have our fellow members give us evaluation to help us improve the next time we do the same roles. So, having that said, Toastmasters is a very valuable place for a lot of people to come to
Mm.
because communication is a very important aspect of our lives. Why is communication such an important aspect, and also why is it a problem for most people?
So communication first. That actually brought me to think one of very first story that I had in Toastmasters, which is I after I become the vice president education, which I thought from education side, I'm giving feedbacks to help people improve their speech. That's when I first understanding the role. Of course, it's not like that afterwards. But then the first time I thought giving feedback to help others improve speech. So someone came to me and then say, "Oh, can you actually help evaluate my speech? And I want to listen to your opinion." So I give him literally 30 minutes feedback on the speech. And what happened
Mhm.
is that people didn't take on speech spot anymore after like in the next 3 months. So I was like, yeah, it was traumatized. I think was by my 30 minutes feedback. That's how I start thinking, is that a better way to give evaluation? Like I thought I'm helping, but other people seem not taking this way. So I realized maybe that's what communication is because when you're trying to talk about something, but the people who listen are actually taking different things. You think you're helping, but they think you are criticizing. So that's something that the communication gap bring people further and further. So if I can pave this gap, make it like a broader road, then that means that I can get to the other person more effectively and smoothly.
I think what you mentioned is very true for most, and also it's the experience for most people in their everyday personal and also professional lives. There's a lot of
Mm,
miscommunication where one side thinks they are doing something they think is right, but then the other side don't perceive it that way. And we see this most commonly in workplaces where bosses would shout at employees,
Mhm.
thinking that would get them to work more,
Mm.
but they didn't realize that's actually doing the opposite effect. Not only they're not motivating, but they're actually demotivating and discouraging the workers from speaking out and also contributing more. Communication is really about bringing people together, and in Toastmasters, one thing that is good is it gives us the opportunity to reflect and to reevaluate our methods of communication with a much lower cost.
Mm.
So we always like to say Toastmasters is a platform for us to practice and to make mistakes that we cannot afford to in real life.
Mm. Yeah.
So would you agree to that?
Of course, yeah. Toastmasters, I feel like it's a lab because I was trained as a biochemist. So I thought this is actually a lab, which whenever you have an idea, you can come to this lab and practice. And you always
Mhm.
receive suggestive, constructive feedback. Then you can twist or improve your product and make it fit towards your goal. So I think that was really important. So in Toastmasters, I actually tried something I never tried, which is making posters or to show my creative side because I got so much negative feedback when I was little, when I tried to be creative. And my dad told
Mm.
me a sentence which I will still remember. Don't try to do any work related to creativity. You're gonna be broke.
Wow, that's very motivating.
Yeah. So I was like, "Oh, okay." Because when I was little, I really enjoyed drawing. So I said, "Oh, I'm gonna be
Mhm,
architect and design my own building." So that's what my dad told me. Don't try to do anything that related to creativity. Otherwise, one day you run out idea, you're gonna broke. So I was like, "Oh, okay." So
mm,
start from that time, I start to work on my math, biology, and try to train as biochemist. But
yeah.
yeah, so that's
But deep inside you, there's still that creative spirit that wants to explore and to try new
yeah,
things.
yeah. But then when I tried, every single time I tried, I was so scared because I was
Mm,
afraid that other people are gonna say, "Ah, you're not trained
mm,
as a like a painter or whatever." And then
mhm,
now you try to do
mhm,
these like poster design, you're not good. You shouldn't do
mhm.
that. So something like that. I think the cost of trying when you grow older is just getting bigger and bigger because you have this you have to be mentally prepared, but same time you also receive a lot of judgment from outside.
Exactly. So it's the lack of positive reinforcement from outside that really makes us more cautious and more careful in anything that we try to do. Yeah, so this is something that I see a lot in my own personal life as well, because if we make a small mistake in our job, that will cost us our job. If we try to be a bit creative in, say, a project proposal, that might cost us the project. So it makes us careful to the
Mm.
point where we are not willing to try new things at all. So this is one thing I really agree with you about Toastmasters is that it's a lab that allows us to try new things and also at the same time lets us fail and to get feedback. So it looks like Toastmasters really gave you a lot of room to explore and to grow. And eventually, you even took up a lot of leadership positions. So, how was the transition from coming in, only wanting to improve in evaluation, and ending up being a president of a club, leading a team?
I think at very beginning when I joined Toastmasters, I my mindset is taking from Toastmasters. So because I want to look good in my workplace, so initially the idea was just taking from Toastmasters. And then I remember one senior member, his name is Vikas. So Vikas said one thing, said Toastmasters is like a vortex. I was like, what is vortex? He said, oh, just in Chinese, 漩涡 vortex. And then once you got in Toastmasters, they will drag you down and drag you down, and you have no idea where you're gonna go. And so my
That's
first
true.
idea was that why I want to be in the vortex? Why should I be dragged when I had the
Mm,
choice of leaving and not
mhm,
staying here, not staying in the vortex?
mhm,
But I think what happened is throughout all these changes, I realized I was dragging myself down more, but I learned more through the vortex because they actually pushed me to somewhere I should go. Now, when I tell everyone, I was not trying to sell Toastmasters, but I really tell them Toastmasters heal a lot of the want I coming from my childhood. Now, through more, actually unleashed my creativity and I start doing more things that I enjoy. So that was one thing I gained from Toastmasters. And another I really gained was how to take feedbacks from others because I really scared of judgments because I scared of
Mhm.
fail. But in Toastmasters, especially when you do speech contest, you receive hundreds of thousands of feedbacks because they will just really try to help you. But then when you take these feedbacks, you have to really absorb and take out all the noise and filter all the noise out and just leave something that's really important to you. And that's actually part of healed my like really scared of judgment side because when I was little, I scared of other people giving me judgment. But now I'm okay with everyone giving me feedback because I know I have a system. So after these two stories, I realized I started changing from mindset of just taking. Now I start changing to a mindset of giving because I learned
Mm.
so much from Toastmasters. I want to give them back. So help all the people who just joined Toastmasters or help others to find their own way to shine in their life.
Wow. Now that is very inspiring. Now that is a vortex that I am very willing to go into myself. So actually, a different term I would use is rabbit hole, which is the same concept actually. You will only go deeper. There's no end to it. And I
Mm,
think Toastmasters is a very good example of a rabbit hole because most people come in on the surface level, like you said, wanting to take something from it. Like
mm,
they want to improve their public speaking, they want to improve their confidence. So they're just using the platform, the community, and also the education system to help them gain these skills. And no doubt, we have gained a lot from this platform.
mm,
And just in case if this is your first time hearing about Toastmasters, we don't work for Toastmasters. It's a non-profit organization. We don't make any money from it. But because we have just gained so much from this community, it is almost a sin if we don't promote this organization and help people improve. So yeah, most people we come in at the very base level to practice to gain new skills. But then as we go deeper, we find that the more you give, the more you get.
yeah.
I think a good example is there's some opportunity for us to mentor newer members. Using mentorship as an example, we can actually see how that can help us in the real world. For example, when we are dealing with other people, with
Mm,
our kids, our juniors, or with our team, because life is really communication. So I totally agree with you. And I believe that's the reason why we are both still in this organization. And it's why we are here talking about this because we are so passionate about it. We really think that this area is so valuable that we really want to share this with other people. And now let's now talking about sharing more and doing more in this area. So you have left China, you have left your hometown, Shanghai, to New Zealand for a new chapter of your life. And even though you have already achieved so much in Toastmasters, you didn't just stop there because a lot of people they will stop at some point. But you didn't just stop there. You still maintain your membership in your home club in Shanghai, but also at the same time, you are taking things to a different level. Now, instead of joining a club, you are starting your own club. So talk us through why you did that and what's the motivation behind it.
good question. I actually, at the chartering process, I actually thought about giving up. So I was every single time I went back to ask myself what I really want or what I will learn in this process. So I think this all brought back to our the starfish story. So for everyone doesn't know the starfish story, basically this is coming from our home club's founding father Samuel, and he said, if one starfish losing one of the arms, the arm itself gonna grow into a whole new starfish. So he used
Mm.
this as a metaphor as every 3 to 5 years, one of the five family should branch out a bit and become a new family. And eventually, hopefully, all over the world gonna have five family Toastmasters club. When I
Mhm.
was the president and saw this line, I called him and I said, I didn't believe this. I don't think I can put this and I don't see anyone can taking your words and actually make them real. And then I realized I'm the one that doing it now. So I think initially what I realized is I just really enjoy the community that I um, rode with in back in Shanghai, and that really helped me a lot. It healed a lot of the wound coming from my childhood. But now
Mm.
I just can't leave it. When you have something, you're obsessed with it, and then you can't
Mhm.
leave this behind. So I said, if I can't have face to face, then I will have it virtually. So that was the really rough idea. I think it was really selfish but because I just can't leave you guys. But
Mhm.
then after I set this idea out, I didn't expect I was receive so much feedback, like you and also Viola, all the members in the five family. They said, "Oh, do it. We're gonna help you." And I think through the way we make it, like the picture was just getting much more clear because I think you chipped in saying that virtual presence is so important and online clubs are definitely the future of Toastmasters Club. And then I
Mm.
think someone else saying that, oh, eventually we're gonna go in international. We need make sure our speakers be able to understand all different cultures. So your club can
Mhm.
actually play part of that to make sure all the speakers are absorbing different cultures. So through that, I think it's just although I had this initial idea, and I think that's the power of Toastmasters.
You talk a bit about this club that you are in the process of chartering, like the name, the vision. Why is it valuable in this day and age?
So the club we are chartering, it's actually already in the chartering process. The headquarters just contact me. The name is Cyber 5 Toastmasters Club. And the initial idea is just making connections, making sure connections stay worldwide. We be able to connect different mind and different leaders around the world. But now I think the club is actually focusing on how people elevate their virtual presentation, virtual presence. I remember what you said before because before during the COVID pandemic time, virtual is just a substitute for the face to face. Eventually, people are gonna go back to the face to face, but from now, I'm more involved in online Toastmasters community. What I realize is more and more people are chartering online clubs. And sometimes I asked a lot of people who are acting in the online community. They enjoyed to see different cultures through this platform. And I think this is what Cyber 5 can offer is be able to let the speakers see more diverse culture and practice their virtual presence in front of the world. And this can be a really powerful platform, eventually taking everyone to another level.
Communication has no boundaries, right?
Mm.
The point of communication is to share, receive, and to grow together. So even though communication, people always say communication is best done in person. To a certain extent, I still agree because when we are in person, we can we can have a better experience of seeing that person right in front of us.
Mm.
So communicating in person will never go away. But one thing that technology gives us is the ability to open up our possibilities and boundaries. So even though, for example, me speaking to you through the internet, it's definitely not as ideal as speaking face to face. We have this opportunity to communicate, to share ideas. And there's some things that I'm learning from you today that I did not before. And this kind of online platform allows us to do that. And this is why I'm a believer of Cyber 5, and also online communication can really gives us an additional source of practice and also a platform for us to share. What do you think is the future of communication as a concept? Like, is online going to be still be an extension of face to face, or will it be just as important or maybe even more important than in
Mm.
person communication?
I think that's actually a really good discussion maybe in the future to talking about communication, what direction. I actually personally really against short video because it's so addictive. So I don't have a TikTok account and I don't have, but but sometimes I would observe all these short videos through a further lens. And what fascinates me is how fast a short video can spread overnight. And look at the number or how many viewers. I think you probably have the much clear idea when you have a short video, like how much viewers you can get overnight if your ideas were really good. And I think that was actually really important because deep inside, I believe everyone coming to Toastmasters would like to have their ideas spread further. And technology is probably going to be one of the most important tools we need to use to help our ideas go across boundaries. Because I remember there's a research said like one people face to face only be able to maintain like six people to form a really
Oh,
tight circle. I can't
hmm
remember if the number is correct. But then think about
hmm
your ideas putting online through short videos or YouTube. Your viewers can get crazy, like millions. And then people will maybe never meet you like in person, like in Japan or in India. They all get to know you because of a video and your ideas. I think that's really fascinating. And that's actually probably one of the dream as a Toastmaster or people who love to share ideas. They would like to have more people be benefited from their ideas. So if spreading idea wise, I think virtual communication definitely be like so much important than just face to face.
You just actually brought up a very good point that TikTok short videos is actually also a form of communication.
Mhm.
So I think this all comes down to one thing in the end. It's to acknowledge the importance of communication skills.
Mm.
With that said, we have come to the ending portion of our first ever pilot test podcast. Do you have any last words to share, or thoughts, ideas, suggestions?
Yeah, I actually have one more point to add. Is because when you said something like thought leader and creating short videos to communicate ideas, it's actually quite interesting because I personally don't watch that much short videos, but I would like
Mhm.
my ideas to be able to spread through short videos. I think that's one of the really important thing to be a content creator and also coming like coming in Cyber 5 or Toastmasters to practice. Is whenever you're giving speech or whenever you're giving short videos, your ideas need to connect with audience. But how you can make your ideas so impactful and instantly connect with your audience? One thing we need to do is we have to be really clear who we are and what our story is about. So I think while we are doing this outer spreading ideas, same time we are also looking inside and then to understand who we really are. And the deeper we understand ourselves, our message come out will be more powerful.
Wow, what an amazing way to end. Look inside before we look outside. The deeper we look inside, the stronger and more powerful it is when we spread our message outward. So, thank you very much, Fei, for being part of our very first podcast. So, our temporary name is Voice of Influence. If you have been listening up till this point, congratulations and thank you very much. And if you have any comments or would like to be part of this podcast to discuss anything related to communication, public speaking, or leadership, please do reach out and we would love to talk and share ideas. With that said, thank you very much and see you next time.